We are live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube, live on Facebook. I'm sure you all heard that one. Internal recording. Internal recording is up.
Okay, Doug, you're all set?
I am all set here. We are live on all the channels, 47, 77, so on and so forth. So whenever you are ready, Mayor.
All right. We'll meet the order. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilwoman Rami Rice. Councilman Began.
Here.
Councilwoman Organ.
Here.
Councilman Kaplan.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz. Deputy Mayor, oh, I guess he, oh, wait, there's his hand. I see his hand. I see you. Deputy Mayor Schwartz. Sorry, he keeps raising his hand. Mayor Dunleavy.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 265-2021, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2022 by way of resolution number 111-2020, filing a copy in the Township Clerk's office and posting it on the Municipal Building Bulletin Board, and the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Doug. Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. Happy 2022. Tonight, our Township Administration are present with us. Dean Zinzi, our Township Manager, Doug Roussillon, our Township Caster, and John Shadanian from the law firm of McCusker and Selmy, Rosen, and Carvelli. Upcoming events. The next televised council meeting will take place on Tuesday, January 18th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Municipal offices will remain closed, or I'm sorry, will be closed Monday, January 17th in observance of MLK Jr. Day. 2022 parking decals are available for purchase at the Township Clerk's office. Please reach out with any questions. Reach out to the clerk at tnecnj.gov. The council previously met in closed session to discuss the following: advisory board interviews, COVID update, personnel, PSC&G, legal issues and or opinions regarding any items on the open session, litigation updates, and Oprah. All right, let's move on to presentations. We have the advisory board on community relations.
Yes, and I believe our chairperson is here. There is the hand. Thank you for that. And Mayor and Council, this is a report from the Advisory Board on Community Relations, not to be confused with their annual report, which is also on the agenda, accompanied with a couple other boards. Yassine will explain it. Just give it a second, Yassine. Sometimes, there he is. Sometimes the Zoom, sometimes the Zoom is not so zoomy, you know?
I definitely agree with that.
Hey, Yassine.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And then Doug, would you be kind enough to also bring up Allegra House? She's in the house and then she's going to be assisting me with this presentation tonight.
Yes. And do you see the share screen button at the
Yes, I
bottom of
do.
your screen? Okay,
Yes, I
good.
do, sir.
I believe he has some slides to share.
Okay, let me start.
Hello, Miss House.
And
Hi,
then
good
you
evening,
tell
everyone.
me,
How are you?
Hi, Allegra.
you tell me if you see my screen. Do you see it?
Yep.
All right.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to share with you the outcome of several months of work within the Advisory Board on Community Relations. We're calling this presentation Unveiling the Unity Path, Phase 1, because we believe that there is still a lot of work to be done in this area. And I would like to just start by thanking the folks that assisted in making this presentation. I'm going to be conducting it along with my friend Allegra House, but I would like to thank Larry Bauer, Ray Goldberg, Cheryl Hall, Joseph Kaplan, Christina Pami, and Dr. Ali Chaudhry from the Stand Up for the Other.org organization. And we're going to tell you a little bit about that in a second. I would like to also let the public know that this presentation has not been shared with anybody before. Nobody reviewed it. Nobody had any input on it other than the members of the Advisory Board on Community Relations, and we are still open to any and all suggestions. You could email us at abcr@tnecnj.gov. Now, how did we get here? First, the council charged us with coming up with events, activities, and plans to recommendations, I guess, also to bring or bridge between the different groups in TNEC. Then the council organized or coordinated the walk the talk sessions with FDU. The Advisory Board on Community Relations took the report that the professors who conducted the walk the talk issued, and we came up with action items we believe that the council can implement. Throughout our meetings, we came up with additional recommendations, which were followed by a public input session where we allowed the general public to tell us what they think. There was no limit on how much time you could speak. We learned from the public a lot of things. We're going to share them with you in a few, and then we're looking forward to continuing to communicate with the public in that way. And the last but not least, we have tonight's presentation. So now, diversity, equity, inclusion, that's going to be our focus. What is that? Allegra is going to tell you. But Allegra, you seem to know a lot about this. What makes you credible? Tell them.
Yes, exactly. So I am a realtor for the community, and I have been for the last 18 years. And I recently underwent training for DE&I through the University of South Florida. Also throughout the real estate profession, I was able to get certified with a designation issued by the National Association of Realtors called the At Home with Diversity certification. I also served on a state level for a real estate committee called the New Jersey Realtors as their vice chair for 2019, and then for the state also 2021. So I have a lot of insight on this topic, and it is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. And building communities is very important through DE&I.
So what is DE&I?
So we all hear of the terminology diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're not really sure exactly what that means until it is brought to our attention and defined for us. Diversity displays different cultures, religions, ethnic backgrounds, and familial statuses, and it's a representation of each person within our community. It is up to us to educate ourselves about the people that are different from us and from what we usually consider as the norm. We appreciate those differences, and that's what brings our community together. That's what helps us to be heard. Diversity could potentially, if we do this right, represent each segment of our community. Whereas equity gives us the opportunity to listen to the people who are afraid to speak up. They can be the advocate, and we can support them on their behalf. So when I say that, an example of that would be our seniors. Sometimes our seniors aren't able to get the same information that we're able to get because they may not have access to email. We have to make it equal. So that means we have to alter the message so that way everyone can get the message and feel included. And then that brings me to inclusion. We want to make sure that every segment of the community feels comfortable and welcome at the events, the meetings, and they understand that our clear statement is including everyone, and that is our goal. So we may need to go above and beyond to make sure that those members feel welcome by inviting them, reaching out to them, giving them a phone call. If we see them in the community, in the shop and stop, say, hey, we're having a community event. Why don't you join us? So we want to make everyone feel included. And in a nutshell, that's what diversity, equity, and inclusion represents.
And Allegra, give us more reasons why we should have, we should nurture diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Absolutely. So I do serve as the secretary and the real estate chair on the Teaneck Chamber of Commerce, and I see this every day. Whenever we invite all, when they feel included, this then starts to promote local business growth within the community, because we have members of the community who want to reach out and frequent those businesses because they feel welcome. They feel like a family. We draw the community together and we foster an understanding of tolerance, and we can provide education about other cultures and religion. So for those of us who may say, we may question why another ethnic group does certain things, we can actually learn. This can be a learning experience where we can all benefit from it. And when the government is involved, that's even more wonderful, because it shows that we're compelled to include everyone and build upon that community. And it'll be, through workshops and effective relationships, we're able to train everyone and teach them why diversity, equity, and inclusion is very important. And what better way for that to be done than from the support from our township to show positive changes.
Very well. Thank you so much, Allegra. Okay, so here are some of the recommendations that we're issuing based on the Walk the Talk sessions and the Advisory Board on Community Relations meetings. We are hoping that Council would issue an annual resolution to express the Council's commitment to DEI. We also would like to have a community calendar on the Township website. And obviously there has to be a process for the community organizations to request being added to that calendar. We would like to improve the marketing of the community events and organizations that promote DEI one way or another. For example, the Teaneck Chorus, the interfaith events that take place, and why not come up with events such as an around the world themed event at the Votee Park. And actually we have some low-hanging fruit that we could capture right now. We're ready to start with some of this stuff as soon as possible. Allegra, what do you have in mind?
Well, I would like to, ultimately, and the community has expressed a need for this, we would like to host a series of workshops, hopefully within the next month or two. We would prefer for February for this. What better way than, Black History Month for this to start? However, I do propose, in the effort to support the objectives put forth by this committee, I would definitely present the workshops. We do have an author who has sold over 475,000 books on Amazon. She sold Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. I hope some of you here listening this evening has actually read some of her material. It's quite compelling, but she would be able to put a plan that could focus on all of the different groups within Teaneck. She can customize a series of workshops and also create some modules with deep intercultural content. And, some of the topics would include, why some of us distance ourselves aside from the pandemic. Culturally, there are some reasons why we do that, where, sometimes there are different groups within Teaneck that may have disabilities, how we can approach them and help them to feel more inclusive. We can reach out to religious leaders. We can reach out to our youth. There is just a ton of content that Terry Morrison can prepare for us that can reach all of our Teaneck community. if we had that opportunity.
Very well, Allegra, thank you for that. And then you just mentioned the youth. One of our recommendations is to enhance, so is that the council should enhance its work with the Board of Education and nurture the work of the advisory board, the Youth Advisory Board, to organize programs that that reinforce DEI within the youth community. In addition, we've had events that teach and educate members of the community about the history of Teaneck. I think we need more of those. And I am very, very grateful to the council for recognizing Mickey Chelan, Pat White, and Wendy Weinberg DeSanti at the last meeting, and before that, Howard Rose. But we would like these kinds of recognitions to be part of the regular culture within Teaneck. We should have 5-year anniversaries, 10-year anniversaries, 1-year anniversaries for the employees and mainly for the volunteers who are devoting their time with no without being financially compensated for that. We had also issued a recommendation previously, and then I'm taking the opportunity tonight to follow up on it, which is we would like to have an online store. We would like to feel that we belong here and we are ambassadors of this town. A lot of folks within the Moroccan American community right now know where Teaneck, New Jersey is, regardless of where these people are in the United States. And that's because I speak about Teaneck the whole time. But it would be great to have swag that has Teaneck on it made available for residents to purchase it. And there are tons of vendors that could assist with that. These are some of the recommended action items that we believe council can and the municipal government can implement. And Beyonce would ask you for rings. We're not asking for rings. We're saying if you like it, you should put a pledge on it. We came up with a pledge. We had an organization attend a meeting with us that actually came up with a pledge called Stand Up for the Other pledge. We tweaked it thanks to Christina Pami and Joseph Kaplan, and we came up with this pledge. I pledge to stand up to all forms of hate, racism, bigotry, and bullying. I will speak out against expressions and actions of intolerance based on race, ethnicity, sexuality, gender, religion, ability, or any other factor, and work together with my neighbors to safer, more inclusive communities for all. The idea is to have a webpage within our website where people can go and then sign this pledge, be it members of the council, Board of Education, Chamber of Commerce, merchants, community leaders, volunteers, and any resident really. And then we can display the list of folks who signed the pledge and who were okay or who authorized their names being displayed. In addition to that, we would display the count of the people who signed this pledge. I think this is going to hold hold everyone accountable to speaking up, to making sure that we are condoning and nurturing harmony within our municipality. And I am sure you folks know that if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. And then you, ladies and gentlemen, members of council, when you unanimously passed the resolution that led to the charge asking the Advisory Board on Community Relations to come up with these solutions, that unanimous vote told us that you believe bridging between the different groups within Teaneck is the big dance number. And I'm pretty sure if you want to enjoy a great show, you've got to buy front row tickets, and they're not free. We would like to assess where we are today vis-a-vis diversity, equity, and inclusion. This way, when we have a set of activities, resolutions, policies, events, etc., we can come back a year later and then measure again so that we see the improvement we will have done and identify areas of improvement. But for us to do that, we have to rely on paid professionals. We hope to get pro bono work, but I would just asking that the council express readiness to allocate funds to hire professionals that would assist and implement such assessments for us. And now, the other big iceberg that we identified through the public input session with the general public is communication. Most people that intervened told us that we want to improve, that the communication from the township towards the resident can be improved, and then anything can be improved, right? So one of the items we are going to be working on is assisting the council in setting a more positive tone at the meetings. We're going to rely on a past meeting as a baseline, and we're going to have a secret agent at the meetings, seriously, as we're planning on doing, to score those meetings from three areas: how the folks behind the dais address each other, how they address the folks who are the guests or the general public, and how the general public addresses the folks behind the dais. And we would like to see some level of improvement in that regard. In addition, it would be great to have a wider pool of applicants to the boards and commissions. So why not have a board and commission day where the council or the township manager, Mr. Kaczynski, can organize a session with the chairs and the public, so that the public can learn about what the boards and commissions do, express interest in joining those boards and commissions, so that more people get interested in joining those boards and commissions. And then this gives the council a wider pool to pick from, and ultimately make the boards and commissions more diverse. Also, the folks that are already on the boards and commissions need to know exactly what their function is. I seem to feel that sometimes people don't know what their role is on the boards and commissions. So it would be great to have an orientation, maybe first week of July, when we have new appointees. Furthermore, it would be great to have an annual public forum with law enforcement. Last year, we had a successful one that was recommended by the Advisory Board on Community Relations. We're grateful for that. We would like that to be annual. Last but not least, when it comes to communication, we would like to see more proximity from the members of council towards the public. Some of you are on social media. I'm very, very grateful to those that answer comments every 5 minutes. That's awesome. Folks that do videos, folks that have newsletters. It would be great that everybody participate in this. Tell the public what you think through an op-ed. Maybe you can send that to the Bergen Record, the Jewish Link, any news outlet, or use alternatives, newsletter, video, etc. So we would like to see that level of proximity. We'd like to see something substantial once a month, not from everybody, but once a month from a member of council. Between the 7 of you, I think it's less than twice a year. And I think everybody is going to be thankful for that. Now, last but not least, we hope that the council would pass a resolution accepting the recommendations that the Advisory Board on Community Relations has just issued. We can provide you with a document with all these items, but we would hope that by next meeting you would pass a resolution, and that's going to give a lot of people the confidence that I agree with, that the council really wants to get this stuff done. And we believe you are willing and you're acting in good faith and you want this done, but we would like to make sure that folks get that sense of seriousness about this. And since communication is the next big ticket item, we hope that you task us with working on that. We can spend several months working on it again, and then we can come up with further recommendations for you. Last but not least, this is Teaneck. This is a beautiful town. That's why we're here. And I think it is everybody's responsibility to make sure we keep this town moving forward. Thank you, folks. And I'm here for any questions, but if you don't have any, then I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allegra and Yassine. Does anybody on council have any questions for the chair or Allegra? Deputy Mayor Katz?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to commend both of them, and I know the entire board worked hard to put together today's presentation. I think there was certainly a lot to digest. I don't know if you have this in written form, then maybe you could circulate it to the council so that we can review it. I'm very much in favor of many, if not almost all, the suggestions that were made. But I think we should look at it as a council to see, what parts we want to move forward with immediately. and if there's any issues with some of the other issues, or some of the other parts. But I do want to also publicly commend Yassine for your leadership, not just here tonight, and members of the board have told me as well, but also the way you handle yourself on social media, and some of the comments, the nice comments that you put up there. So thank you, both of you, for all your hard work, and I also speak to the entire advisory board for your efforts. It's very, very good. I wanted to say at one point that the advisory boards are supposed to be advisory boards to the council, and that's what people sometimes forget, and they're in this position. But the reality is even some of the comments that were made about council decorum and council meetings, I think are good advice to the council, from a third party that we actually appoint. So I appreciate that, and thank you very much.
Other questions from council, other comments? Okay, I just have a few. I want to lend my thank you to. I had been in discussions with Yassine and had, I think, attended 2 or 3 of your meetings to talk about these projects and to talk about the direction forward. And I think you hit pretty much every point that was discussed, certainly with me, and I would assume with the rest of the meeting. I mean, some of the things are in some ways already will be doing, about to be done. I would first take a look, for example, at the resolution that I put on to reaffirm tonight, which is one that I wrote in 2019 that I've done every year that I've been on council, reaffirming our position that hate has no place in Teaneck. That might be a place where either you want to start or jump off from or use that tool. I think the history of Teaneck, recognition of volunteers, we've discussed being sure that they all get certificates now once they come off of boards, to be sure that they are recognized for the service that they've given their community. I like swag. I always like swag. Swag is good. I would love to have everybody walking around with a Teaneck shirt on. Absolutely. In terms of board functions, we've already done, I think Doug has the bullet list that we did. Oh boy, it had to be a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, in terms of the functions of board members. We didn't do it for the commissions. We did it for the advisory boards because we were doing the big change in the ordinance. So that is already available and online. And as you know, Yassine, as a chair, I have had quarterly and biannual meetings with all the chairs to kind of integrate their work, see what other people are doing, kind of pollinate ideas. And I left it up to the chairs to continue that. And I'm certainly available to bring them together again at any time to do that type of thing. I believe the annual meeting you wanted with police, that would be something we can discuss with Dean and the chief. And I know that would probably be valuable. I like the idea of doing an education session for the community about the boards. And we can do it in and around the time each year that we ask for nominations, which will happen every year now. So we can do that. We can get that done right now. Let's see, what was the other thing you had on here? Community calendar. Yeah, we've talked about already a community calendar, a couple of different community calendar processes, one of which would include the BOE and their activities, as well as rec, all being in one place. You'll hear a little bit more about a communication tool that we're going to be putting out within the first quarter of 2022 during the manager's report. We had a meeting about a week ago about that. So I think a number of the things here we have already started. or at least have a work in progress or some things that may be the answers to these things. So again, I would ask you to send the slides to the entire council, okay? So that everybody can look at it and digest it. And then we can go forward and have our discussions and see how we want to go, where we want to go. But as I just said, a lot of these things may be able to be in some type of process already, and we'll be talking a little bit about more of that in a little while. Okay. All right, Yassine, again, thank you. I say
I just would like to add
Yes,
one
go
last
ahead.
thing, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Just so that I just don't want to go on back and forth, but a lot of these items that we mentioned, I am very grateful that are being worked on, but it would be great to include the board in the planning phase, just maybe because we're listening to the folks, we got input, and then I guess there are certain expectations. We just want to make sure that our input is taken into account when planning anything that is as substantial as community calendar, for example.
Okay.
And then I'll send the latest link for these for this presentation.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you to
night.
both of you. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Miscellaneous. Old business. New business. Karen, can you place those names in nomination, please?
It would be my pleasure. I would like to nominate Dr. Robert Torado to the Pride Advisory Board and Tess Tomasi to the Social Service Advisory Board.
Second.
Second. Any objection? Hearing none, those two names will be put in nomination for appointment at the January 18th meeting. Thank you. Communications. Okay. Committee reports by council liaisons. I know Javon is not here. The ABCR report. I mean, we heard extensively from them and what their work has been. The Social Service Advisory Board report. I think that was Javon's as well, if I remember correctly.
And again, these annual reports, Mayor, like you were just talking about, that big ordinance thing that we did, this is, even though I've said it before, I'll just say it again for the knowledge of the public and council, that these reports are just a way to just keep council and the public updated as to what they're doing. You know, we crafted a template together, just something quick and easy for public and council's perusal as to what these boards are up to. Obviously, some boards may not have ample information to do such yet, but you know, we're just getting in the groove, getting in the process for those in the future. That's the point of these.
Right. Okay. And the Youth Advisory Board report, any comments? Okay. Moving on, council listed. I'm
Wait,
sorry.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know why my board wasn't listed, but zoning subcommittee did meet and we discussed the following items. We discussed the litigation items and the zoning for the litigation items, settlement, Holy Name Hospital, the Stop and Shop. You know, as you know, the council has been working very hard to make sure that Teaneck has a grade A supermarket in Teaneck. And then there was some other items that I recused myself on, so I left at this point. Deputy Mayor Schwartz, do you want to report?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I can finish that report and go to mine, which I think you may have skipped number 4.
Go ahead.
Okay, so to just finish, we also discussed a workforce housing project that was presented towards us. Workforce housing was discussed by council about a year ago. That's a classification of housing that's not low income, but it's set at a restricted amount of median income to the town. It's something that we've always heard from neighbors of these new developments. They're great, they're nice, but I can't afford it. People in the town can't afford it. So there's some developments that are coming up that would be income restricted, though not the affordable low income level, but at a what they call workforce housing. So there'll be more coming on that. More coming on that in the upcoming months. As it relates to the committee reports and planning board, just wanted to fill everyone in on two projects. One, the Teaneck Road DPW project. As you know, that was approved for 39 low-income units plus a supers unit. The contractor, or sorry, the winning bid in which is the low-income housing, Elizabeth Davis, that is going out to her contractors to bid. The construction documents have been finished and sent out, so they expected that to be moving along pretty quickly now. Not that quickly, but we hope to probably break ground within a year. Secondly, for those who inquired about the status of the Cedar Lane Alvin's Pharmacy site that 7-Eleven purchased for additional parking, 7-Eleven has put a moratorium on construction as a result of their multi-billion-dollar purchase of a competitor. I'm sorry, I don't know who. And that project of demolition and parking lot expansion is temporarily put aside. The variances for that were still issued, and that building is sold. So it's just a matter of time. But people had asked that, so I wanted to present that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on then to council listed items.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to mention the commission.
Okay, go ahead.
So unfortunately, I missed the Teaneck Historical Preservation Commission meeting, but Chairman Norris did contact me to discuss some of the issues on the agenda. One, I previously mentioned the council about maps and signage to indicate places of historical interest that the THPC has been working on. The signage for all of our parks is complete. Siwa Studios is doing the casting, and that's all in the works. There was a request to have signage. One discussion was for Oratam Village by Teaneck Creek, and per the resolution I had shared with council previously, I believe it was in our agenda for markers at locations such as the mural across from RADA and other places of historical interest. There was also discussion of certification of local government groups with money for local projects. Teaneck is certified, and I'm happy to follow up with the manager and Chair Norris and put them together there. The commission also liked the idea that we had brought up of an art commission, and I'll be communicating that to the library to see how best to move forward with the concept. One thing that I did bring up to the commission is that we're coming up on the 60th anniversary of Teaneck's integration plan, which, as you know, was where we became the first community in America to voluntarily integrate our schools. And as the liaison to the BOE, the library, and historic preservation, I thought it was in a good spot. I'd like to get each involved in creating a historical preservation marker commemorating that vote to go in front of the Bryant School if the BOE is amenable to that. Similar to the other historic markers we've created. I'm envisioning the historical preservation coming up with the historical info, the library linking the information on our website, and council pulling it together into the marker for the location. So as a first step, I'd like to see if there's a will to move forward with that. And if so, I'd like to include the language for resolution in our next meeting, and we can coincide it with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday.
It's great.
Any objection to the suggestion by the council member?
Sounds great.
Hearing none. Yeah, it sounds great, Keith.
Okay, I will bring it up to the BOE, library, THPC, and report back.
Okay, thank you. All right, council listed items. Regulating vape and CBD shops, Deputy Mayor Katz.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, I actually just put this on so that Council can give it some thought. I've received several complaints as these things start to proliferate. I mean, I think we had like 4 of them open up in Teaneck just in the last 6 to 12 months. So I don't know if there's something that we should do or what should be done. My guess and sense is that a lot of these vape and CBD shops are opening up in anticipation of like planting a flag for cannabis. That's just a guess. I guess we will see. But you know, I'm not sure if at one point, you know, if at one point we start to look and say, maybe this should be going to a certain area. I'm not a big fan of regulating. I know when we had a lot of, CVS's and nail salons opening up, people were requesting that we regulate them, but this is different, obviously, than a nail salon because of the content that it sells. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't have a solution, nor a recommendation.
Okay. Further discussion? Comments? Councilman Organ.
I think one thing that's really important for us to pay attention to now is if anything is being sold to underage children. I think that's a huge concern. I know some open near schools, but I'm not sure about regulating them in any other way. They're legal. And, other than selling to the underage, I don't know what we would do.
Well, Ellie, do you want us to look into the legalities?
Like
You
I
want
said,
George Jones to
it was
give us
more
some-
for an open discussion with the council members to see if they had any thoughts or personal feelings about it. Like I said, it was reported a few times by different members of the community about this. Some that were closer to schools than others. Asking what's going on, how is the town allowing this, blah blah blah. And like Councilmember Organ said, it's not a question of allowing it; it's a question of the fact that they're legal stores. So the question is, do we want to say anything? Can we say anything? Do we want to say anything? Should we do anything? Should we just review it? That's all I'm asking.
Okay,
Unfortunately, I didn't come to the council with the solution, a problem and a solution. I just came, highlighting the problem.
well, it sounds as though you had enough input that it's worth us to take a look. Maybe if nothing else, to see if other towns have put any restrictions at all on these types of businesses, whether it be where they can do it or how many. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that would be one thing I would probably want to ask.
Okay, maybe we can ask the clerk to ask the league if there's been any legislation on this or comments or feedback.
Okay, that would be a good place to go. Doug?
I'll touch base with the league, and I'll also touch base with my colleagues in Bergen County, the other clerks.
Okay,
And Mayor, I'll check with the Municipal Managers Association as well to see if they have any information on that. And, we also do spot enforcement. We used to have this program called Cops and Shops, and we used to just make sure that these liquor license establishments are following all the ABC rules and sent an undercover underage person. And, again, this is something that we can do also with some of these shops as well in time, just to make sure they are not selling any sort of paraphernalia to underage kids.
okay,
I'll speak to the chief about that.
okay. All right, so we can get that information and then we'll.
Just to be clear, this is about regulating CBD and vape shops, right?
That's what the deputy mayor was asking about. Yeah,
Yep, just being clear.
okay. All right, Deputy Mayor Schwartz, did you cover item number 2 already? Planning
Yeah,
board.
he did, Mayor. Sorry about that. The original print that you have, I misplaced Deputy Mayor Schwartz's spot. It was originally supposed to be at committee reports. That's why he mentioned that before. That was
Okay, so I won't blame him. I'll blame you. Okay,
yeah.
all right. And the last item is mine. Again, and I mentioned it earlier. Since I wrote this and since I've been in council every year, I bring it to the council to reaffirm our position about hate has no place in Teaneck. I think it's an important thing that we should do every year to make sure that the township knows exactly what our feelings are and that it's constant and that it's ongoing. And so I would ask that my colleagues vote for the reaffirmation. It's in the packet of resolutions. And
Yeah, I second that, and I think this falls along the line of what the Community Relations Advisory Board Chair was asking for, one of the items. So
yeah.
look at the instant success he's getting.
Okay. All right.
Wait.
Thank you.
Would you
Yeah.
like to move this to the consent agenda, Mayor?
If there's no objection. Okay.
And that will be, it will be on the consent agenda to be considered as resolution number 14-2022.
Okay.
I like the idea of doing this at the first meeting of the year. Can we mark this, Doug, to do it going forward?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Township Managers Report. Dean, you're up.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll discuss the elephant in the room. That's the COVID-19 update. Just to update everyone on some statistics. Holy Name Medical Center currently has 88 patients admitted with COVID-19. As I mentioned to council, I do not have the percentage of vaccinated versus unvaccinated, but in the past, the unvaccinated percentage was very high. 10 patients are currently in ICU. 4 of them are on a ventilator. 3 patients are in labor, delivery, and recovery, and 1 is a pediatric patient that is admitted. As everyone knows, Jersey is experiencing record number of daily cases. Testing remains difficult. I know there is quite a line of people wanting to get tested at Holy Name at their drive-through site. The COVID activity level index score is very high for Bergen County, and several counties in the state were at level red, which means there's a very high transmission rate for our area. Regarding TNEC, we experienced 1,913 new cases during the month of December. 1,109 of them were between December 24th and the 31st. New Year's weekend resulted in 149 new positives, and that brings our total number of positives since March of 2020 to 6,058 cases. If everyone didn't hear, the FDA just authorized the Pfizer booster shot for adolescents 12 to 15 years of age, and they also shortened the time between the completion of the primary vaccination of the Pfizer vaccine and a booster dose to 5 months from 6, which is good news. The FDA allowed for a 3rd dose of vaccine in immunocompromised children between the ages of 5 and 11. I'm happy to report that TVAC, our volunteer ambulance corps in town, opened a testing facility, and that's at their headquarters located at 855 Windsor Road. On Sunday, which was the first day, the company tested 820 people. There were 300 on Monday and another 400 today. This is an outdoor testing facility. There is no indoor waiting room. This site is going to remain open through Saturday. And again, the hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Just a reminder to everyone, our municipal buildings remain closed to the public. We continue to conduct business by appointment and various other communication formats, which are working out well for us right now. The plan, again, is to reopen to the public on Tuesday, January 18th, as the 14-day virus incubation period after the holidays will be over. So I'm confident the numbers will go down, but opening up on January 18th will give us a better idea if it's safe or not to open. And again, I'm confident that these numbers will decrease in time. I'm working with Holy Name to schedule a community Zoom forum to discuss the current and future status of the virus, the effectiveness of the vaccine, and any precautions that can be taken to prevent the spread. I'll have an email set up, a separate email set up where residents can send questions before the event to be answered by the experts from Holy Name Hospital. They've been very cooperative with this matter, and I should have that set up very shortly. I'm getting a lot of inquiries, and that's the reason for this. I'm getting a lot of inquiries from the residents that are asking for some answers. So I think it would be in our best interest to hold some sort of community forum that may last about an hour, but we'll have the experts from Holy Name present. The New Jersey Department of Health, again, I mentioned this the last meeting, they partnered to offer a free at-home COVID-19 saliva test kit, and that's available to every New Jerseyan who thinks they need a test. You need to go to the website, which is learn.vaulthealth.com/New Jersey to order your test kit. Again, that website is learn.vaulthealth.com/NJ, and they will send you out a free test kit. Some of the project updates we're working on, just to let everyone know, the township is in receipt of the $1.918 million payment from PSE&G for the grant easement purchase that was wired to us recently. We've ordered appraisal reports as well as for the designated parcels, which total 3.4992 acres. We only needed 3.37, but the technicals are currently being completed. And once that's done, we'll seek approval from Green Acres, and that should allow us to use that money for projects. We're awaiting delivery from WatchGuard, the body camera vendor who will be supplying the devices for personnel at the police department to be worn on duty. There is a backlog of orders to WatchGuard from a lot of different municipalities, police departments, and we're waiting for delivery. And once they are delivered, we'll get them up and running as quickly as possible. The township's going to be accepting bids on January 11th for the new police dispatch radio console. The contract will be awarded on January 18th, and the new equipment will replace decades-old radio equipment and will now make Teaneck a 911 public safety answering point again. So I'm very happy and pleased that, again, this is moving forward, not as quick as I wanted to, but it is moving forward. And again, we'll make Teaneck again a 911 public safety answering point. And I think that's in our best interest and will provide the best service to the public. Bids for the municipal building demolition will be accepted now on February 15th, and that's going to be followed by the award on or about February 22nd. We're preparing an RFP for the new website services. More information will follow shortly. We're going to be accepting bids probably in early spring for outside building maintenance for the municipal building and police department. The new flat roof and gutter replacement at the municipal building is now complete. That's going to allow us to continue with some other projects at the municipal building. The contractor is preparing the shop drawings for the municipal building windows. We anticipate putting them in sometime in the spring. All the work at the Rhoda Center is complete. That includes a new roof and facade. The bid opening and demo and improvement work at Firehouse 4 is scheduled for January 20th, so that project is moving along. The playground equipment, which I previously reported to council and the residents, is now going to be delivered in the spring. All the other work was done. The concrete work was done. We're just waiting for delivery of the playground equipment, and we will not install it until the weather breaks. The new Voti Park band shell is on order with delivery scheduled for sometime this spring. And our engineering department is going to coordinate all site work and utility connections. It's also going to require the removal of the old band shell. And we're also going to be accepting delivery of that new Phelps Park restroom, prefab restroom in March or April. And again, the engineering department is going to coordinate all site work and utility connections. And that existing structure, which is no longer open and usable, is going to be demolished as well. All the work on Linden Avenue to replace the main water line was completed. However, the contractor is working on service line replacement, which is going to take another 2 weeks or so. The Bell Avenue drainage study was received. That's currently under review by our engineering department. When I get some more information, I'll put it out to the public, and we will schedule another community meeting at the right time. We have 4 new 8-foot by 24-foot steel single slope shelter dugouts at Voti Park. On order, we were just recently told that due to really the COVID and production, they will not be in for at least 24 weeks. And as the mayor kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, we had a discussion with the mayor and a few other council members about producing a quarterly newsletter, and which would contain factual information for our residents, things such as calendar reminders, meeting notices, links to communication platforms, a mayor's message, manager's highlights, community events, important phone numbers and emails, things to that nature. And we will also allow advertising for local businesses by submitting a business card, and that can be done for a nominal fee. So we're in the process of putting this all together, and I anticipate the first quarterly newsletter to come out on or about April 1st. The snow ordinance and helpful tips and information is posted on the township's website. There's a dedicated tab which is up there today on the left-hand side of the homepage, which includes a listing of streets that are exempt from the no parking during a declared snow emergency. Snow removal requirement information is on there, safety tips, and a listing of all municipal parking lots, which can be used, and this is very important, can be used to park 6 hours before an anticipated snowfall is predicted until 24 hours after the snowfall has stopped. This is my meeting reminder that if you've not signed up for Township Alerts, please visit the website, click on the sign up the Township Alerts tab on the left column of the homepage. This is an excellent way to stay informed and get the messages that I put out fairly regularly. A winter weather advisory, so everyone knows, was issued for our area, and that's early this morning, 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. Wednesday morning. Please use caution if traveling, as the forecast calls for freezing rain. We will have 5 salters out early in the morning, treating the roadways. With regard to the 2022 budget, the local finance board issued new deadline extensions for submission of the budget and the annual financial statement. The AFS must be submitted by March 4th or at the next regularly scheduled council meeting. The 2022 budget must be introduced by March 31st or at the next regularly scheduled council meeting. And adoption of the budget must take place by April 29th or at the next regularly scheduled council meeting. So those are the new dates that were submitted to us by the local finance board. I appointed Jagata Osenkowska to the position of keyboarding clerk in the court effective January 3rd. She fills an open position due to the recent promotion of Ann Gallagher, who was promoted to the title of deputy court administrator. I want to congratulate Alexander Lavaca, Andre Ellington, and Chase Elder, who recently graduated from the police academy in December. We'll be hiring 3 more officers for the next academy class, which begins on February 4th. And we continue with background investigations for new firefighters. I anticipate hiring new firefighters sometime in February or March. And I've been getting some calls about this. We are aware of the breach in the pond at the southern end of Indian Pond. DPW is making those arrangements to correct and repair. The new 2022 Teaneck Times recycling calendar. If you've not received it, you should be receiving it very shortly. The PDF version is currently on the website. You can look at the website to get all the latest information, but if you've yet to receive it, you should be getting it in the mail very shortly. And the report, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Dean, and thank you for everything that you're doing. You got a lot on your plate, but you obviously are on top of it. Thank you. I do have one question regarding the band shell. I've been asked, I don't know if other council members have been asked about the mural that has been done over the years on the inside, and obviously physically we can't save it, but I was wondering whether or not if we could get some photographs done of it and perhaps, you know, have it somewhere in that area from a historical perspective, that we
Sure.
we can have that and have a small plaque associated.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly reach out to, Ray Turkin is a professional photographer. He does some work for the town. I certainly can reach out to Ray to take some professional photos, and we'll figure out something and maybe work with Kunith Sign as well to come up with some sort of design to preserve the photos.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Thanks. Any other questions or comments for the manager? Okay. Moving on, Township Attorney's Report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Happy New Year, everyone. Other than what was discussed in closed session, I have no additional legal report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. We'll move on to formal meeting items, public hearing and adoption of ordinances. Clerk, if you could read the titles, please.
Absolutely, Mayor. For adoption, first ordinances that we are adopting in the year 2022. First up, we have ordinance number 59-2021, which is amending section 36-12 of Division 2 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, respecting prohibited parking at all times along a portion of Jefferson Street between Rutland Ave and Ogden Ave. We have ordinance number 60-2021, amending ordinance number 28-2021, establishing positions and salary ranges for executive, managerial, professional, and confidential employees, and for unclassified municipal employees in the township, effective January 1, 2021, to add thereto part-time employees. Last but not least, we have ordinance number 61-2021, amending Chapter 2, the Charter Administrative Code of the Township Code, to amend Appendix 5, personnel policies and procedures for excluded employees. Mayor, those are the three ordinances up for adoption this evening.
All right, thank you, Doug. Does anyone on council wish to make any comments with respect to these ordinances? All right, seeing none, then we will open it up to the public for an open hearing on just these three ordinances. You will get a chance to speak about anything else you want to speak about, but at this point, the discussion from the public is just related to these three ordinances, ordinance 59, 60, and 61, 2021.
Indeed, Mayor, I could not have said it better myself. Again, this is a public hearing just for the ordinances. Each member of the public has 3 minutes. And if you are unable to fit your thoughts, comments, questions into 3 minutes allotted, please feel free to email me, your township clerk, Doug Roussillon, at clerk@tnecnj.gov, and I'll be sure to copy and paste your comments verbatim into the minutes. Again, public hearing is open for the ordinances. Mayor, I see no hands.
I see no hands, so I will close the public hearing.
Motion Schwartz.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move ordinance number 59-21, 60-2021, and 61-2021. Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Councilman Began,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Yes, by all. Publications going out tomorrow.
All right, the next item is a special public hearing that's required by our code for Resolution 8/2022, which is related to authorizing the liquor license transfer to Newton Green Realty.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to recuse myself on this one.
I'm sorry,
I'm going to recuse on this matter.
understood. Okay, so we'll open the public hearing up to the public.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm not a member of this purchaser in any way, shape, or form. I'm not recusing myself as a member of this. I'm not. I just wanted to state that.
Okay, very good. So Doug, let's open it up to the public. You'll be speaking just on Resolution 8/2022.
Yes, indeed, Mayor. Thank you very much. And again, this is for a special stipulation that is in the Teaneck Township Code. I believe council is privy to what that stipulation is. Just for the sake of the public's time, I'm not going to go into the long dragged out version as to why this needs to happen. Any questions, please feel free to call or email the Township Clerk's office. And to start the public hearing, our applicant, Mr. Rodney Green, on behalf of Newton Green Realty LLC, is here. His hand is raising. I'm going to bring him in quick because, again, according to our township code, the applicant, any applicant in this matter, needs to state their case to the Township Council as to why they believe they should receive this waiver granted on behalf of council. I believe Mr. Green has a few slides to share with us, and here he is sharing his screen right now. Hello, Rodney, how are you? Please feel free to unmute whenever you are ready, sir. You there, Rodney? Oh.
All right. If Rodney could maybe just speak to the issue to us.
Yes, Mr. Green, if you can, please feel free to unmute. Let me know if you need a hand with something.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Rodney. How are you?
I'm great, and you? Thank you all. Thank you for hearing me. I'm just pulling up my little slideshow here. Can you see my presentation here?
Crystal clear, and you sound perfect, sir.
Beautiful. So hello, everyone. My name is Rodney Green. I'm the founder of Brush Culture. That's the way that's pronounced. I'm excited to tell you about what I would like to offer to the town of Teaneck. So I'm 42 years old. I'm a jazz musician and artist and promoter, etc. I'm a Bergen County resident. I started my musical career at about 16 years old, working with people like That's the Great Patti LaBelle. When I started at the same time promoting events, which was doing everything from booking the events and what do you call it? Planning events and having freezing. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm the other half of Newton Green Realty. I'm Newton and he's Green. It's nice to meet everyone. But essentially, Rodney has been working in a hybrid role of promoting and planning and playing music, essentially for almost 3 decades.
Okay.
He started in 1995.
Yeah, I started in about 1996 working with people like Herbie Hancock, Dinah Krall. You see the list here. When the pandemic hit, I started to ramp up my content promotion because I saw that I had a lot of my friends weren't working. There wasn't a lot of things for us to do. So, come help, Jesus.
So essentially, for 3 decades, he's been doing this. He's been doing content creation, event planning, promotion. He figured out that he was really good at it. He knows exactly how to speak to these communities within the music industry. He knows how to make meaningful content that resonates with this community. And he's done that through several different initiatives over the years, online and physical events. And essentially with this passion of his and with the onset of the pandemic, he needed to find a different way to kind of channel that energy and channel those skill sets. And so Brush Culture was really made within those moments. And so what Brush Culture is... It's
an eatery that will serve alcoholic beverages as well as American fare. We won't be kosher. We'll be open on Friday and Saturday nights. And we'll be having live events. We're getting involved with the community with children's concerts, children's classes, theater nights. I've been collaborating and speaking with people in the neighborhood like Teresa Johnston from Never Alone Again. She has a great thing that she does there. And we spoke about doing something which is kind of in line with what I heard earlier tonight in Votee Park. She had an event, but she couldn't get music, so I could help provide that. So like I said, we'll be open 7 days. I've been in touch with Dan Melfi about the zoning. about making sure that the parking and all that sort of stuff is taken care of. We can use the lots, et cetera, et cetera. Again, not kosher. Why Teaneck? Teaneck is one of the most diverse neighborhoods or townships in Bergen County. It's long been connected to jazz. Rudy Van Gelder Studios there at Thelonious Monk. Lots of greats have been through Teaneck. The headquarters for Brush Culture is right there on Cedar Lane already. We moved into 405 Cedar Lane about a month ago now. So we've connected with people in the neighborhood. I've reached out to lots of people. Lots of people are very excited about what we're presenting. Robin Eubanks, who's a local member of your township, he lives in Hackensack and he goes to the SGI there on Water Street. Like I said, I've spoken to many members. He wrote a letter of support, and someone I've known since I was about 16 years old, a great trumpeter and composer. He's the artistic director of Jazz at Lincoln Center. He runs the jazz division of Juilliard School of Music. He wrote me a letter of support, and he's been a great mentor and help, and he's been helping me through this process. And yeah, logistics. So what are we asking for? What the situation is a waiver of strict compliance. The township knows what that is. We've spoken about it. There's a precedent for it. It's happened before. We can, the law was written exactly for this situation, or the waiver was written exactly for this situation. And if we can't have this situation, then essentially a street is small as Cedar Lane. That means that no other business could come in and sell alcoholic beverages. That's my email, and thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much.
Sorry for my nerves.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm a little bit.
Deputy Mayor Katz, and then Councilman Organ.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna comment about the specific, like the club, because I don't know much about it other than what I just saw today, although it seems very interesting.
It's
but
a restaurant. It's a restaurant with a bar that will have live entertainment.
Got it. No, I got that part. I mean, I'm not as cultural as I look. I should be more involved though. But I will tell you though that historically, the council has given these waivers. And the most recent I remember was Tuscany, which was down by, conflicted with the Geronimo liquor license. The Geronimo liquor license extended into that parking lot. So Tuscany was way beyond that, too close to that. I believe also at one point FDU had a liquor license, and then there was a liquor store that tried to open up on Cedar Lane. And
excuse me, Mayor Katz. The situation here too is a unique situation because the liquor license that is in play here was just approved October 5th. And to my knowledge, as of now, is not being used yet.
Right. No, I mean, listen, from what I was told over the years, the reason this, and I believe it's a TNEC requirement, which is the distance requirement, was always in place, was because we were trying to prevent ourselves from being like Hoboken, where there's bar next to bar next to bar next to bar next to bar. And I think especially when restaurants have licenses, it's not exactly bar next to bar next to bar. Whether or not you like the Hoboken model, I mean, it could be that the current council likes that her Hoboken model. I'm not commenting. I'm just commenting on the fact that that's why I was always told that distance requirement was in there. But with that said, like I said, historically, like in the last few times, we have waived it and recognized that it's good to get restaurants with liquor licenses and to welcome people in these establishments like this. So That's my comment. I'm supportive of this.
Thank you.
Councilman Oregon?
Yeah, I'm supportive as well. I understand your nerves. I wish that Ms. Newton could come speak for me sometimes also.
Everyone should have a Miss Newton.
Yeah, everyone should have a Miss Newton, and she's got a great voice. I think you would be a great addition to Teaneck. People have said for a long time that Teaneck should be more of a destination, and I think a jazz club is something we really haven't had. And I thank you for choosing Teaneck. And I understand the reason for having to have the hearing. And at some point, maybe it would be too much in one area, but two different businesses across the street from each other, I don't have an issue with that.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council?
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm for this waiver as well.
Thank you.
It should be a unique business for our town that would also, I think, beget more foot traffic. I'm off the top of my head thinking of all the ice cream cones that are going to be bought in the area, as well as what would be in the restaurant. But I think this is a great idea, and so I'm in favor of the waiver.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No?
If no member of council has anything else to say, and thank you, Mr. Green, for your presentation. If no one else from council has anything to say, I believe we must open it up to the public also, just to speak on strictly Resolution 8-2022, which is for this the two transfers and the waive.
Right.
Right.
So I'll ask the public right now, anyone who wants to make a comment about this one resolution, if they would raise their hand, and we will bring them in.
I have one hand here, Mr. Mayor. I'm bringing in Mr. Alan Sohn.
Thank you for including me. I too support this application. You know, for far too long, Cedar Lane has been the victim of malign neglect from this council. But to a large extent, there is a purpose behind the 750-foot rule. And looking back, you know, you only have to look where the application for the liquor license came from a location that was within the 750-foot zone, from a very, very different business establishment. I would just like to hear from Mr. Green, you know, and from the council, their confidence that this proximity within 750 feet will not create a situation where one, the other, or even worse, both businesses would be challenged by having the two liquor licenses within proximity to each other. I do hope that we can be reassured, and I do hope that the business will succeed and will help reinvigorate the business climate on Cedar Lane. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sohn. Thanks for that question. So the situation is the restaurant across the street is a kosher restaurant that has that's usually closed by about 9 p.m. It's closed Friday night. It's closed all day Saturday, and it serves kosher food. So there are two separate ideas and situations. The alcohol that's served in my restaurant is just to help you have a good time while you're listening to music. It'd be weird to listen to music and hang out and have a good time and not have a drink. I don't know the way the restaurant across the street is going to have their situation, if it's a takeout liquor license or what that is. So I can't really comment to that. But as of now, they're not using it. So I hope that helps you out a little bit.
Any other members of the public wish to speak on Resolution 8-2022? General good and welfare is coming shortly after this, folks. Please don't go anywhere. But again, this is just for, yes. Mr.
Thank you, everyone. If you'd like to see my presentation or reach out to me, I could send this around to you. Just let me know.
I think that's a great idea, Mr. Green. If you want to send that presentation along to council, you can copy me also. I'll make sure that they get it. But Mayor, I'm not seeing any other hands right now. You're muted, sir.
We'll close the public hearing. And I just need a little advice. Should we just leave this in the list of resolutions? We don't vote on this separately. We'll just vote with the rest of the resolutions, right?
Indeed, yes, it will be considered with the consent agenda.
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much, Mr. Green, for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Green.
you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll move forward with, excuse me, that's something in my eye here. Good and welfare for the public. Again, you will have 3 minutes to speak on everything and anything. Doug will be the timekeeper, and Doug, take it away.
Absolutely, sir. And as everyone knows the deal by now, I'm sure you have 3 minutes, and I really don't like cutting people off. And we all know that Zoom is not the most efficient when it comes to communicating sometimes. So I will just cut you off after 3 minutes. And if you are unable to fit your thoughts, comments, questions, or concerns in those 3 minutes, please email me, your township clerk, at clerk@teenagenj.gov, and I will be sure to include your comments verbatim into the minutes. And the first hand I saw was an Ayelet Hirschkorn. I hope I pronounced your name right, Ayelet. Bringing Ayelet in. Again, 3 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Ayelet. 3 minutes.
That's great. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayelet Hirschkorn. I'm a Teaneck resident who lives right near Holy Name Hospital. For the past 2+ years, the residents surrounding Holy Name Hospital have been coming to town council meetings to express concern about the hospital's plans to expand. And recently, about 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting at the planning board where over 250 residents attended. And despite well over 100 people objecting to the adoption of the master plan amendment, it did go through despite all the residents' objections. What has become clear over the past 2.5 years is that despite attempts by the neighbors to broker an agreement with the hospital to effectuate both an expansion that serves the hospital's needs, as well as meets the concerns and protections for the neighborhood, the hospital has no interest in signing an agreement. And what I'm asking today is that the council protect the residents surrounding the hospital by refusing to introduce any ordinances or any such other plans or anything else that would progress the expansion without an agreement with the neighbors, and that would include also the deed restrictions that we've been advocating for in both subzones 1 and 2 in the residential neighborhood. If the council is going to move an ordinance forward without that agreement in place and without deed restrictions in place, then the hospital will continue to do what it wants without protecting the neighborhood. And it is up to this council to have those protections in place by ensuring that the hospital will come to the table and refusing to progress things without the agreement and the deed restrictions in place. So I'm asking each of you to commit on the record that you will not be introducing any ordinances until an agreement is reached and until those deed restrictions are in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayelet. I am bringing in Susan Schultz. Please unmute whenever you're ready, Susan.
Hi, my name's Susan Schultz. I live at 50 Oakdean Avenue. And I think it's very interesting what the last speaker, the neighborhood around the Holy Name Hospital, was talking about. Because just what was happening there and what she was concerned about seems to be happening right now across the street with AUCC. At the end of this today, this meeting, there's an ordinance that you're bringing before TNEC that will basically bypass all of the residences' concerns. And I have to ask all of you to please think about what the residents here around the AUCC need, want, and are concerned about. I'm very concerned because as is, there's a lot of traffic that is in front of the house. And this is without all of the variances that are going through. So if this is passed, basically AUCC does not have to go in front of the zoning board to ask for and to give information to why they should have this, so why they need to have a driveway that is less than 150 feet, because you've changed it in this ordinance so that it can just be 75 feet. You've also changed it for the parking that they need. And this is then goes to what they are looking to do, not to have enough parking. So right now they're parking, they don't park in the parking lot, they park on the street, they turn around. It's a one-way street, they go the wrong way. It is going to complicate all of the issues that there are here without it going through the process that TNEC has in place to consider these issues. I almost have to wonder whether or not it was written by the lawyers of AUCC. It has given them into them all of their needs without the consideration of the neighbors and the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I have a call-in user 1. If it's possible, please unmute and state your name for the record.
My name is Margaret Baker.
Hello, Ms. Baker, 3 minutes.
Okay. I would like to ask about the minutes from the Cannabis Committee. Have they been given to Councilwoman Rami Rice? I would like to get an answer to that question. Second, I spoke at the town meeting on the 14th. I read the minutes, and I'm not included in the minutes. My name is not there, and what I said is not there. So I would like to know why I'm not there. I wasn't the first speaker. I wasn't the last speaker. Everyone else is listed with whatever they said, but not me. I don't know if it's a typo. It's on the video. I heard
Sounds like a
myself
typo.
on the video. I'm not in the minutes, and I wish that would be corrected, because it says follow the paper trail. So I want it in the minutes, corrected. Also, I must say that I am truly disappointed with this council and how you treated the residents out here on Decatur, and also the residents on Tygen from Inglewood. We were never contacted by the council, those of us that are in TNEC. Not a word. The only notification we received was from the lawyer of the developer notifying us of going to the planning board. Well, going to the planning board, that was a done deal when we got there on Zoom. It was only done because it was procedure. You had to do it. And we got the letters because of the distance we live from this proposed project. So I really think that you just discarded us as Teaneck residents and Inglewood residents. We deserve to have been made aware of it. No one came, and even after the fact, no one came. Oh, I must say, Deputy Swartz.
Ms. Baker, I apologize. Your 3 minutes are up, and I do also apologize if there was typo in the minutes. I know you have my email and phone number. Please give me a call or an email tomorrow. Let me know which meeting that was, and I will be sure to correct that ASAP. Again, thank you for your comments. And again, I do not like to cut people off, but we have a lot of people that need to speak, and everyone is allotted 3 minutes. So again, Ms. Baker, please give me a call or an email tomorrow, and we will fix that up for you. I am now bringing in Lauren Meyerhoff.
Sorry.
Lauren Mayhoff.
I'm using someone else's iPad. My name is actually Michael Klatsky.
Hello, Michael Klatsky. 3 minutes.
Okay, I'd like to address the council tonight on an issue that's important to me. I've noticed over the past year the township has, I guess, struggled to maintain some of the parklands in the town. The playgrounds have become overgrown in some places by a lot of the equipment. And unfortunately, my daughter she was diagnosed with Lyme disease, and the doctors in the health department think it's probably from the playground near my home, where she plays in quite a bit. And I want to ask the council if they're for the next year going forwards, could maintenance of the playgrounds for small children or just even teenagers or just basically children in general be placed as a higher priority item on the agenda, however it gets done, whether it's, neighbors volunteering with lawnmowers or contracting out, it doesn't really matter. The kids are going to play there whether the parents really like it or not. And it's really important. And that's all I'd like to talk about tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I am now bringing in Alan Sohn. Hello, sir. 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
It's sadly ironic to hear a presentation from the Advisory Board on Community Relations, to hear about the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to see that Mayor Dunleavy wants to reaffirm a resolution that rejects hate in all its forms and seeks to improve communication between the diverse religious, cultural, and racial communities in Teaneck. But sadly, the resolution rather blatantly excludes our LGBTQ residents and makes no mention of women. This is a council that does not walk the talk in any way, shape, or form. On its first day in office, July 1st, 2020, this council voted in 3 white men to fill all 3 leadership positions as mayor and deputy mayor. On July 13th, 21, this council passed 2 resolutions appointing 12 men to fill all 12 open seats on our land use boards, and appointed white men to fill all 8 of the full voting seats on the planning board and the Board of Adjustment. Well, Keith Kaplan has taken the lead as misogynist in chief and president of the Teaneck chapter of the He-Man Women Haters Club. The reality is in Teaneck that women, who are the majority of our residents, are the victims of a systematic imbalance and underrepresentation in positions and appointments of importance that make a difference by this entire council. As much as anything else, this council has been waging a relentless battle against the truth, as can be seen over just the past month. The Teaneck Voices newsletter in December reached thousands of residents with an issue that discussed the council's plans regarding Stop and Shop. Township planner Richard Price was quoted directly stating, quote, "Only through essentially demolition and rebuilding could those be corrected. It's not something that can be just repaired so that the building could not be no longer obsolescent." Yet Keith Kaplan insisted that demolition had never been discussed. And then Jim Dunleavy called this fake news, following the Trumpian tradition of simply lying when faced with the truth. The Teaneck Tomorrow newsletter this week showed that Holy Name Medical Center had been dealing duplicitously with Ellie Katz and Mark Schwartz. Days later, Richard Price told Katz and Schwartz that, quote, "Our office is frustrated and exhausted by the hospital's behaviors and actions, and why allowing them to get their way imperils the neighborhood, the township, and most of all, the two of you and other members of the council who may be tempted to go along with them," end quote. The township held all the cards. The good neighbors of Teaneck asked for modest deed restrictions to protect their residential neighborhood, and the planning board handed over all the cards to Holy Name and threw the neighbors under the bus. Keith Kaplan called the direct quotations from township documents as examples of fear and misinformation. Mr. Dunleavy, Mr. Kaplan, Mr. Katz.
Mr. Sohn, your 3 minutes were up. Again, you have my email. Please send me verbatim, whatever you'd like included in the minutes, and I will get it in there. I'm now bringing in Katie Katz.
Good evening. I'm Katie Katz and I live on Vandaland Avenue. I joined can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, 3 minutes.
Great. I joined my neighbor Ayelet in asking the council to insist on a settlement agreement between the hospital and its neighbors before introducing any ordinances regarding the hospital zone. It's been suggested that the proposed ordinance simply tracks our settlement agreement. Besides being incorrect, it misstates the nature of a settlement agreement. The settlement agreement contains painful compromises by the neighbors and gives Holy Name much more than they can get today, even with variances. What makes it at all palatable is the permanent deed restrictions in both Zone 1 and Zone 2, as well as an agreement with the neighbors on certain other matters of which you are fully familiar. This can only be accomplished with an agreement between the hospital and its neighbors. The only reason there is not a signed agreement now is that Holy Name believes that the council will give it what it wants without an agreement. We're counting and asking the council to protect Teaneck's residents. The only way for there to be a signed agreement is if the council does nothing until there is that signed agreement. Pushing for ordinances now will not save time. I know that's been something that's been raised. Everyone knows that pushing for ordinances will result in acrimony and slowing down the process. So we are asking you to please do not take this anti-resident step of introducing ordinances before there is an agreement. Since November 21st, there is a settlement agreement consistent with Deputy Mayor Schwartz's memorandum of understanding waiting to be signed that would enable the hospital to expand in a cooperative fashion. We're counting on you. Thank you.
Oh, wow, I've been muted. Sorry. Thank you, Ms. Katz. I'm bringing in Phyllis Steele. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, Phyllis. Please forgive me if I am not. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, good evening. My name is Phyllis Steele. I live at 64 Vandalinda Avenue, directly across from the old nursing school building with my elderly husband. We are both very concerned about in the phase 2 of the hospital building plan that Vandalinda Avenue is to be closed to the public for the duration of that building project. I think that that is extremely unfair to us. We do have many people who come to visit us, and they will not be able to have access according to what's written in the plan. I think that as a residents of Teaneck for over 40 years, we should be able to have our street remain open to our visitors and to the general public, and not just have construction vehicles going up and down Vandalinda Avenue. We should be able to have the residents go into their driveways without having to explain to the police every time that they live there. We also need to have our visitors able to park on the side facing Holy Name Hospital when they visit us. I hope that you reconsider this with the hospital and keep Vandalinda Avenue open during this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Phyllis. I am now bringing in Jesse Leon.
Well, I said.
Hello.
Jesse, what's up? Happy New Year. 3 minutes.
Happy New Year, Doug. Happy New Year, council members. It's good to be back as always, but it's sad to see that yet again, we do not have chickens on the agenda. We're going on way over a year now, I think. And as much as I love coming and bugging you guys, I'd like to stop if I, can actually just get chickens in my backyard. So I just want to point out that the proposed ordinance that I sent to all of you a couple of times now, I'm sure, has some things that have been discussed over and over again as concerns that people have, and there are things to mitigate that. Like chickens are not allowed to run at large, that they must be confined to a run or a coop, or a combination of the two, obviously. So they're not just going to be hopping fences into neighbors' yards. They're not going to be leaving messes in neighbors' yards. They're not going to be running around on the streets causing havoc. They will be confined to an enclosed area, which ideally would be predator proofed as well, in somebody's backyard. The ordinance I proposed requires weekly cleaning. It requires annual reinspection by the health officer. It requires no roosters to keep everything nice and quiet. It requires that any food that's kept is kept in rodent-proof containers that are made out of metal or plastic and affixed with lids so that we don't attract rats or mice to steal from the chickens, or from your supply of food for the chickens. Whenever they actually go for the chickens' food in the enclosure, the chickens will take care of the issue themselves because they are little dinosaurs. So I would again encourage all of you to read the proposed ordinance, and to put it up at the January 18th meeting, and the following meeting to pass it. It's about time that the people of Teaneck have the right to raise some chickens in their backyard, to have an educational and entertaining pet that gives them some healthy food in their fridge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse. Please be safe out there. I am now bringing in Mike A. Mike A.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mike Ackerman. I lived on Grange near the hospital. I just wanted to reiterate and state what some of my fellow neighbors have said regarding what's been happening with Holy Name recently at the Master Plan Amendment. We're just asking the council to insist on settlement agreement between the hospital and its neighbors before introducing any ordinances regarding the hospital zone. We've made a lot of concessions. What we're trying to do to make it palatable is the permanent deed restriction that we've all mentioned numerous times in both the Zone 1 single family only, as well as Zone 2 surface parking only, as well as an agreement with the neighbors on certain other matters which you are all fully familiar with. This can only be accomplished with an agreement between the hospital and its neighbors, and it's imperative that we do this before moving forward with any ordinances. Like has been stated by some of my friends beforehand, we ask that you commit on the record tonight to having this done before introducing any new ordinances. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you, Mike. I am now bringing in Ronnie Schlussel.
Hi, thank you. I'm not going to take your time. You've heard it from my fellow neighbors. I want to thank Deputy Mayor Schwartz for committing to not moving forward with ordinances until the neighbors and the hospital have come to an agreement. We are more than willing to meet and talk to the hospital. We have been waiting since November, as you've already heard. All we want to do is reach an agreement which allows for deed restrictions on zone 1 and 2 and allows the residential neighborhood to remain safe. So we ask you once again that our town council protect our neighborhood. Thank you. Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you. I am bringing in Chuck Powers. Chuck Powers, whenever you're ready.
I'd like to thank Margaret Baker for her persistence in protecting her neighborhood. She is certainly the most affected person in the whole Alfred Avenue area. And I appreciate the fact that the clerk is willing to correct the fact that he left her out of the discussion of Alfred Avenue that occurred in the Good and Welfare 2 months ago. I also like to thank all the good neighbors of Holy Name, and to agree with them that we need to hear from Mark Schwartz what he told the planning board at its last meeting, that he would not be supporting or certainly introducing any zoning ordinance to implement the master plan amendment unless there is such an agreement as being pursued by the good neighbors. That's the kind of thing we need to happen, but we need to have this township's council actually affirm those things in its own council meeting. I'd like to also talk about the fact that Mr. Schwartz says that apparently, without anything being said publicly at all, we are moving ahead to the 1425 mistake that is being made by putting the senior citizens affordable housing structure right there at a completely impossible place for the people who will be living in that facility to get across the streets to any form of retail. As Mr. Zamek in November of 2019 made it very clear, there is absolutely no worse place that could conceivably be thought of in all of Teaneck than where it is that the township is taking its own property and providing hundreds of thousands of dollars to a private developer to carry out a mistaken matter. And in fact, Mr. Attorney, you never developed that analysis of the housing authority that you promised in 2019, so we could figure out some way in which we could in fact protect Teaneck citizens who are seeking to be part of a senior citizens affordable housing process. And the question that was raised from the folks living on Oakdean is also correct. What in the world is being proposed, and why are we seeing the introduction of an ordinance tonight that has absolutely nothing to do with anything except perhaps AUCC? And why can't this township council tell people what it is that they are doing? Are you trying to protect the AUCC or trying to help the Board of Adjustment pass a problem that they ran into with the approval of that document? Tell us what you're doing. This township has an attorney who believes the public gets to know nothing, and we will not stand for it. Please, council, get rid of this man. He does not believe in the issues of transparency that are fundamental to a democratic township. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I am now bringing in David S.
Can you hear me?
David S., whenever you are ready. I see you are unmuted, David S., but I cannot hear you.
But it doesn't say.
I hear some faint mumbles in the background there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are just very quiet. Is it possible you could maybe speak a little closer to the mic?
Can you hear me now?
You are very quiet, but I'm going to tell everyone here in the council chambers to be quiet, and I will try my best to hear you.
Yeah, I can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Sorry. Anyway, why is this so hard? It shouldn't be. I moved to Teaneck almost 64 years ago, and I can't even get certain members of council to reply to a request to talk. Even if members don't feel fully free to share their thoughts regarding the hospital and the neighbors, you should want to hear ours. You should want to hear us feel heard. You want us to feel heard. The vast majority of the 250 people at the planning board meeting were opposed to the master plan amendment as presented, but were in favor of protecting the residents while still letting the hospital modernize and expand. You should want to ask us questions, get clarifications, and understand directly for yourselves where there is agreement and where there isn't. 3-minute restrictions, which were not imposed by this council upon the hospital, by the way, is not conducive to truly understanding. It might not even be designed to do so. Why is this so hard? We are told that you would like to see an agreement between us and the hospital, and then the township undermines the process by proceeding ahead without one. Meaningful dialogue ended when the planning board made it clear that they would hear and pass the master plan amendment tailored to the hospital's desires and do so without an agreement, without truly protecting the residents. We have not been moving the goalposts. We have been responsive. We have done everything in this process that has been asked of us, and yet we feel undermined by our town. The hospital is doing just what you have trained it to do. If they say no, you will move the goalposts toward them. If they keep saying no, you will proceed anyway and say, we must move on, this is taking too long. This isn't that hard. Protecting the residents does not and need not hurt the hospital. It is not about whether the hospital does good. People who present it as a choice to help the hospital or not are creating a straw man. It is false and has never been our position. Do you want to protect the residents and still let the hospital almost triple in size, build 9-story towers, etc.? Then freeze the process until there is an agreement that is consistent with the memorandum of understanding that was proposed by the township over a year ago. The hospital has had such an agreement provided to them by us over 6 weeks ago in November. To date, we have not received any comments regarding that agreement from the hospital. If you hold firm, this can get done. All the elements of an agreement are there, to quote Deputy Mayor Schwartz. Why would you not want that? This doesn't have to be hard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I am bringing in Alan Rubenstein.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, loud and clear, Alan. You have 3 minutes.
Members of this council have consistently said that they are following the lead of Deputy Mayor Schwartz on all hospital issues. Please follow his lead and support his commitment to the residents of this town that he publicly stated at the planning board meeting on December 16th, not to introduce or vote for zoning ordinances without a signed agreement between the hospital and its neighbors. With that commitment from this entire council, I am confident we will reach a permanent agreement with the hospital expeditiously. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I'm bringing in Deborah Blayberg. Deborah Blayberg, whenever you're ready.
Hi, good evening, Council. Happy New Year. First of all, I just want to reiterate what the good neighbours of Teaneck have said, and we'll hope that Deputy Mayor Schwartz and the Council will keep to their words, because a man is only as good as his word, and so he will keep his words and not put any ordinances in until there is an agreement with the good neighbours. There is also another subject I'd like to talk about, which is the fence on Pomander Walk, which was discussed and approved, I think, in November and still is not up. And once again, the neighbour is harassing members of the public who are literally on public land and calling the police on them again. So it is really imperative that this fence goes up as soon as possible in order to stop, number one, the wasting of police time by a member of the public who is continuously calling the police on this same person who has a right to be on public land. Not me, by the way. I won't go there because I'm afraid that she's going to call the police on me. And then on the other reason is that it was approved. So it is so that people can actually go out there. I understand there are now more cameras that are pointing out into the ground that go straight to phones. It's like very intrusive. And it is time that there was a proper border so that the people who live there can feel safe in their own environment, that no one is going to step onto their property, and that the rest of the public can enjoy the beautiful area that is the Native American burial grounds and the African American burial grounds, which the town spent time and money, and Deanne Epps has spent time curating. 13 years she's worked on this. And honestly, it is time that this fence went up so all this nonsense can stop. I would like to be able to go and enjoy that area, but I'm literally afraid to go down there, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I would like the council to really look into finishing this job. I understand the survey has been done. And as I understand, it was told that it's to pay for the fence. So come on, let's find a budget for this and let's get this done so that the budget from the police is not wasted by having to continuously come out because they're being called out, if you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, Happy New Year and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Blayberg. Mayor, at this time, I see no other hands.
All right, then we will close good and welfare for this evening. And at this point, I will call on my council colleagues for their comments. Just try and hold your comments to roughly 3 minutes to be fair to everybody. So I'll start on my right. Before I do, I did not mention this earlier. Councilmember Rice is not here tonight. Many of you may or may not know. She told me I can say this. She did contract COVID. She had a little rough time of it. I think she's starting to come out the other side from what I understand. She's still holding herself in isolation for the safety of her family. But she did want me to reiterate what I said on my robocall last week, which was by all means, please mask, please socially distance, and please get vaccinated and boosted. Those are your best defenses against this. And so I wanted to let you know that she's somewhat on the mend now and that she wanted to emphasize those things that I said in the robocall last week. So at that point, Councilmember Pagan, we'll start with you, okay?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to remind residents that Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday is coming up on January 15th, and that is when we honor his work and his beliefs, which have helped shape our country and our society for the better these past 50 years. Also, Korean American Day is rapidly approaching on January 13th, and that is when we recognize the contributions of the Korean American community. So please keep that date in mind as well. Concerning the hospital, I just want to remind residents that a majority of our township is fully vaccinated due to having a hospital located within our borders, and more than 170,000 COVID-19 vaccines were administered at the Richard Rhoda Community Center during the first few waves of this pandemic, which is still ongoing due to the highly contagious and dangerous Omicron variant. And as of right now, all of the emergency rooms at the 5 hospitals in Bergen County are full with COVID patients who need help. So I ask residents to please keep that in mind as they continue to express their personal opinions on this topic. And we do hear you. We absolutely hear what you are saying. I also want to thank the Teaneck Volunteer Ambulance Corps for using their headquarters on Windsor Road as a COVID testing location this week. As always, TVAC goes above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to helping protect Teaneck and our residents, and for that, we are very grateful. When it comes to chickens, we've been talking about this for a while, and you all know that I still support this initiative. As for cannabis, more than 10,000 Teaneck residents voted to support this initiative, and every step of the process has been transparent. Cannabis has been around for a very long time, and it is not going away. So it makes sense to educate folks about cannabis, regulate it, and tax it, especially since more than 10,000 Teaneck residents voted for that. And I absolutely support a fence at the burial ground on Pomander Walk. I live a few houses away and would like to see that done. When it comes to playgrounds, thank you for bringing that to our attention, and we will look into that with our manager and our DPW to see what is happening. And as for the resident on Cottage Place who made his comments, I am Latino and Spanish was my first language, Alan, just in case you forgot that, but I know you know that. But other than that, I want to thank all the residents who spoke tonight and who participated. And that is my time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Pagan. We'll move over to Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to note, just for the benefit of the public, I know there's sometimes a little confusion as to how zoning and various things work. We have two major things that interact in our town. One is the master plan that's created by the planning board, and the other is zoning that's created by the council. The master plan is a vision for the town moving forward. It's our benchmark, so to speak. The master plan is not a council document. It's solely under the jurisdiction of the planning board. That's where it is created and updated. Zoning ordinances are where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. The ordinance creates rules as to what can go in certain zones. The zoning ordinances have introduction like any other ordinance, and before a hearing, they go to the planning board. It's called a consistency review, and what the planning board does is in between the introduction and the hearing on a zoning ordinance, they make a determination as to whether something is consistent with the master plan. So that's the broad strokes of how it works. If you're interested in the minutia, feel free to reach out. I'm always available for residents. My email is on the town website, kcaplan@teanecknj.gov. Regarding some of the comments that were said, I did want to speak about Stop and Shop just for a moment. There is no plan to tear it down, and rumors like that are very harmful for the store, because when people hear things like that, they start wondering if they should shop somewhere else. And that's not what we want at all. The town has been meeting with Stop and Shop. There are reasons why litigants will file suit to preserve certain rights. And as I said at the last meeting, I'm not at liberty to speak about ongoing litigation, but the town has been meeting with Stop and Shop. And yes, some of the plans involved moving to a different location where, they can remain where they are right now while they build another store. Some involved renovating the current store. So, be wary if somebody cherry picks a line that says, demolish in the context of building a different location and then taking down the first one, because, it can sound out of context. And then, when someone like me says, no one's forcing you to take down a store, well, that's the reason. No one is forcing them to take down a store. In fact, this is a non-condemnation proceeding. Regarding the issues that were brought up, if I appreciate everybody coming out, I wish I can spend time on each of them. I only have 3 minutes, but if you didn't get an answer, please feel free to reach out. Happy to email, Zoom, call, whatever you have. Again, my email's on the town website, kcaplan@teanecknj.gov, and hope you have a great evening.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaplan. Councilmember Organ.
Thank you. I'd like to speak about TVAC, and I'd like to just share some numbers with the public. Closing out 2021, TVAC had approximately 4,700 calls that they went on and put over 23,000 miles on their fleet of ambulances. Of those 4,700 calls, 849 of them were doubles. That means they had two crews responding at the same time. 157 of them were triples, and 21 of them were quadruples, where four crews were in four different ambulances responding to calls at the same time. They were called for mutual aid 73 times, and they almost met their goal of the year to never have to ask for mutual aid, but there was one call received, and it was their sixth simultaneous call that they were going out on. They provided 828 COVID tests on Sunday, approximately 400 Monday and 400 yesterday. The line moves very quickly for anybody who needs it. Earlier this year, they hosted flu shots for the community, and over 400 were provided. Just for my own bragging, Eric Organ responded on over 300 calls this past year, and Jamie Organ over 400 calls this past year. TVAC had elections, they held elections, and I would like to thank outgoing Chief Izzy Infield, who served last year, and welcome incoming Chief Yoni Selnick. We wish you luck. And for the second year, incoming President Eric Organ, we wish you luck. TNEC is now holding its annual fund drive. So this increase in calls also leads to an increase in cost. TVAC had 197 members who made calls this past year, and that's at a time when many ambulance corps, volunteer ambulance corps, are switching to paid service. So to ensure to clothe, uniform 197 members to respond and on almost 4,000 calls, it comes with an increased price. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that their fund drive is ongoing right now. Anybody looking to donate can either drop off a check, whatever the amount, at 855 Windsor Road, or now 855 TVAC Way on Waze, or tnecambulance.org. You can go to the website, and that is to join as well. To the good neighbors, it is my understanding that a meeting will be set up with you in the hospital, and I trust Deputy Mayor Schwartz, and I take him at his word, and I know that he has been a supporter of both sides and worked very hard on this. To Mr. Klatsky, when we walked the playgrounds this past summer, we started discussing neighborhoods taking back the parks and helping with them, but also contracting out. And that's something that we will revisit. And I think that's it. Oh, and to Ms. Steele, I can't imagine that they're going to close. The plan is to close the Vandalinda entrance to the hospital. I'm sure that while they're doing work, there may be some disruption, but I am sure that you and your elderly husband will not have a problem getting to your home. I'm sure that will be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Organ. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, thank you very much. Just a few comments on what my fellow council members said. Just to Councilwoman Organ, you failed to mention how many TVAC ambulance calls I went on with a member of the Organ family. I think it was about 11 this past year, and I already got on several more this year. And I have more coming up this Sunday as well, with both of the organs. Also, on that 6 simultaneous call, we actually TVAC sent members to the scene but ran out of ambulances. So we hope that this coming year, TVAC will be able, with the town's assistance, purchase ambulance as well. To Councilman Kaplan, just to further clarify, one of the proposals from Stop and Shop is to rebuild their building. I just want to clarify, on site, not somewhere else in town, on their site. That was one of their options, and their options only. They have the choice, we do not. As it relates to Mr. Klatsky, we got our parkland diversion money that the mayor spoke about in our possession, and we plan to put that to use, fixing up our parks, which desperately need that. And I look forward to more information on that coming out very soon. As it relates to 1425 Teaneck Road, in terms of that's a 39-unit senior citizen building right off the corner of State Street, and how that's one of the best sites to have that is at a heavily regulated intersection that has multiple cross street signs, sidewalks, curves, recently renovated walkways, and that's a building that was approved after months and months of conversation and meetings between the planning board and the council. That's already been approved, and I look forward to groundbreaking, hopefully at the end of this year, God willing. And that is my report. I do thank Mrs. Baker, I'll finish Mrs. Baker's comment. I was down by her home. I did walk her neighborhood with Deputy Mayor Katz and Councilwoman Organ, and I look forward to the continued progress in that area as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Schwartz. I just have a couple of things. In terms of the maintenance of the parks, Mike Klatsky, my understanding is in talking with the manager, he's working into the budget, the ability to beef up his services through outsourcing a number of different maintenance duties in the parks. So that should be coming up in the 2022 budget. And I hope that will take care of some of the issues. And I hope your daughter is feeling better. What else? In terms of, I really don't have too much, but Mr. Sohn, in terms of your comments about the Stop and Shop, I think this is an excellent example of how things run amok in social media, and everybody has to chase down the problem to get the truth out, but unfortunately the truth gets muzzled. This is one of the reasons why we're going to be doing the newsletter. And as we said, first on a quarterly basis, but we're also going to use it as a way to, when we see these types of things going out that are patently wrong, we want the public to have the right story. We want them to have the truth from the source. And so this is going to be a means by which we're going to be able to do that and make those communications, while at the same time, not turn into a blog or not turn into a social media source of half information that unfortunately many people are relying on, and few people understand that these people are not checking their facts. So I think the newsletter is going to help. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing what this will get done for us. And again, if we need to put out them more frequently, or we have to put out an alert type of thing, we plan to do that as well. Let's see, Mike, that. I'm going to ask Dean if you could speak a moment about the issue with the fence, if you would.
So we had a survey done. The property was staked. This is an unfunded project. I don't know when a decision will be made whether or not a fence is going up. The township maintains the property there. I know there have been a plethora of problems between neighbors in that area. I would suggest to them, if they can't work out their resolutions, there's been a lot of allegations going on about harassment, trespassing. Contact the police department. That's why they're there. File your police reports. If you wish to file a trespassing, harassment complaint, whatever it is, complete your affidavit with our municipal court. The case will go for a probable cause hearing in front of the local magistrate. He or she will determine probable cause, and you'll have your day in court. That's the suggestion I've made all along. But again, the property has been surveyed, staked, and we'll figure out what we will do once the weather breaks, whether or not a fence is going in or out of that location.
Okay, great. Thank you for updating us on that. And I'm also going to ask legal counsel, John, did you have anything you want to say or discuss?
Thank you, Mayor. The only comment that I just wanted to make was there was a comment from one of the residents about the Oakton Avenue property, and there's the ordinance that's on for tonight for introduction regarding the community overlay zone. And I just simply wanted to note that it doesn't change anything other than make that use permissible in that area, meaning that the building that was a school and a pre-K before is now going to be permitted to be a community center. So there's no change to the other requirements.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. All right, moving forward, I think we're on to the consent agenda. Doug, if you can read the bill list, please.
Yes, sir. Tonight we are considering our consent agenda, first consent agenda of the year. A raffle, 2 sets of minutes, resolutions 2 to now 14-2022, which includes the mayor's walk-in resolution reaffirming that hate has no home in Teaneck, and the bill list in the amount of $393,136.54.
Okay. I'll ask if any council member wishes to
Motion Schwartz. Sorry, motion Schwartz on everything.
Okay.
And I'd like
Mark.
Sorry.
Mark. I just am asking if somebody wants to pull something first, then we'll go to you. Does anybody want to pull something? Okay. Mark, you're on.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the raffles, the minutes, and the resolutions. In the bill list, as in the bill list. My apologies, in the bill list.
Second.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Began, sorry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes on all with a recusal on 4 and 8 of 2022 resolutions.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes on all with a abstention on the bill list.
and Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
All right, everything adopted.
All right, we'll move on to introduction of ordinances. Doug, if you can read the titles, please.
With honor, sir, the first 2 ordinances that we are considering for introduction in the year of 2022. First up, ordinance number 1-2022. An ordinance amending section 36-12 of Division 2 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code respecting prohibited parking at all times along a portion of Garrison Avenue south of Standish Road. And ordinance number 2-2022, amend and revise the development regulations of the Code of the Township of Teaneck, Article 5, Chapter 33, Sections 33-23 and 33-25 with respect to conditional use standards, and Section 33-24 to establish the Community Center Overlay CCO zoning district with respect to non-governmental uses within the P Public Land District.
I'd like to move 1 and 2 of 2022 and just remind the public that per our code, we discuss ordinances at the hearing, not at introduction.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilman Began,
Yes.
Councilwoman Organ,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Awesome. We will see these again in like a week and a half.
Yeah. All right, before we adjourn, I again want to remind the public, please, 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 you're the front line of defense. You're the ones who will help keep people out of hospital beds. Put the masks on when you're indoors or anywhere, quite frankly. Get vaccinated, get boosted, and stay socially distant when you're out of the house with other people and inside other areas. That's the only way we're going to calm this thing down right now. So please, 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 I know it's difficult. I'm in a mask all day long. It's tough, but we have to do it. So again, please, I beg you, for everybody's sake, please do it. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion adopted. Everybody have a great night.
Have a great night, everybody.
Be safe.
Happy New Year, Teaneck. We'll see you next